Hi, it's Sarah. I'm from the Untrained Slackers and Tone That Fat. And I'm with...
Hi, Rachel from Red Ant Fashions.
This is actually going on her channel. I'm just here to take over. So what are we doing, Rachel?
We are we're heading down, we're in Ojai and we're heading down to Ventura, but we're going to make a quick stop because, like I said in the earlier videos, we are going to revisit some of our old stomping grounds and share stories of our childhood and different experiences that we had growing up. So our first stop as we leave Ojai is we're going to stop at the very top of Ventura Avenue where we grew up. Well, I guess we grew up for just a couple. How long were we there? It was just a few years. My dad had a house out there and we lived with him during our high school careers.
I was in junior high.
Oh, you were in junior high. So we're gonna go visit the house and the street, and yeah, we'll tell you all about it.
Ta-da! This is part of our childhood, Los Cambos Lane.
Hey,
oh, look,
it's
it's a
a
Scooby-Doo
Scooby
van. What?
It's the Mystery Machine.
Look at that.
That is a beauty. Ventura Comics. That's actually really cool. That's like super cute.
This side of the road used to not be here.
Yeah, that was like a whole dirt lot, actually.
I used to play in those fields. No, it was all fields and trees, and there was all kinds of frogs over there. You'd hear frogs all through the night. I used to go catch them.
It was just this street to our right,
Yeah.
and it was just these houses, these cookie cutter houses. It was like the first manufactured homes over here. And then...
I think Twin and Win lived here.
those were the two little
Asian kids.
the Asian kids Sarah used to play with.
And they're all staring us down.
It looks so different now, especially with these houses on the left.
And then, a lot of those trees on that hill right there.
Uh-huh.
Those
Didn't
were,
they burn?
There used to
Fire?
be, remember that willow tree right there?
Yeah, there was
There's
like a
huge
fire or
willow
something.
tree right there. And then, no, I think those are all avocado plants. I think they got a virus, so they had to cut down a bunch of trees.
So this
But
was the house
this
right
is our old
here.
house.
This is our old house, what my dad bought, and I believe it was Sarah, myself, and Nathan at one point lived here, didn't he?
Yeah.
I know that I had a room, and I know you had a room, and I don't remember if Nathan had a room or not, or if he just came in.
He did this, so there was 3 bedrooms and then the master bedroom.
Yeah, so Nathan lived here for a while, and this was like during the time that Sarah was in junior high,
Yeah.
and I was in high school. I was in my sophomore year at high school at Ventura High. And so we lived here with my dad, and it was really bizarre because we weren't allowed to have friends in the house at all, unless they were girls. Girls were allowed in the house, boys were not allowed in the house, because my dad believed that you can't have co-eds in the house. So boys were not allowed in our house whatsoever. People were not allowed in the house without permission. So you had to ask way ahead of time. Otherwise, we pretty much didn't have people over ever.
Except for when they were out of town.
Except for when they were out of town. And I remember that they felt that groceries were too expensive, and so that was where they made budget cuts on groceries, and we were only allowed to eat a allotted amount of food per day. It was almost
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
No.
She used to only buy a certain amount of yogurts or a certain amount of stuff, and it was like she was particular about how many pieces of bologna you ate.
I remember a lot of canned chili.
There was a lot of canned chili. They made a lot of budget cuts with food. Food was too expensive because there was too many of us, and teenagers eat a lot. Because you're growing. Teenagers tend to eat a lot more than most adults, just because they're growing and their hormones and their body is changing. And so I do remember that because there was a lot of rationing of food and a lot of controlling of the food, and it was like a big deal. It was a big issue. I also remember the garden boxes that you see out front. That used to be a normal lawn. And
You wanted to say hi.
hi, Bandit. The garden boxes you see out in front of the house didn't used to be
No,
there.
that was a plush green lawn.
That was a plush green lawn, but he did have garden boxes in the backyard.
Yeah.
And he grew beautiful vegetables. His garden was totally gorgeous, and I remember we weren't allowed to pick the vegetables.
He picked them, though.
He did. But there was numerous times where I was like, can I pick the beets or can I pick the vegetables to eat? And it was like, you better ask your father. He's not going to appreciate you.
And then this
eating
was my
vegetables.
playground right here. You see that? It's beautiful.
That's your playground.
That's
You
where
don't
I
remember that?
That's
You don't
where I
remember
played all
how
the time.
strict it was over here?
I remember it being strict. I remember clean freak. Everything had to be spotless.
I remember Nathan used to get in trouble because my brother was notorious for watching MTV. This was back when MTV actually played music videos. And Aeon Flux. And Nathan used to stay up in the middle of the night because he couldn't sleep, and he'd be watching MTV and he would pass out on the couch. And my stepmom used to actually get up in the middle of the night to wake him up, to make him go to his room, because she couldn't handle the furniture smelling like people lived there. That was actual real reasoning. It couldn't smell like people. She didn't like the odor. And so she used to wake up, she used to get so pissed that he'd pass out on the couch.
Well, now she says that she regrets being that strict and anal retentive. She says she wished she wasn't like that. That's one of her biggest regrets.
That she was so uptight about it.
She was so uptight about the way we lived, and that she didn't spend enough time with us. She feels like
she was so OCD. Yeah. I think that was the problem, was she was so OCD, but I think it was like her first house. She worked really, really hard to get the house. She wasn't used to kids at all. She didn't have any of her own. And so, yeah, she was just very, she was super OCD. Like, you couldn't leave dishes in the sink ever. And everything had to be spotless, except for our bedrooms. They didn't like the door open at all. They didn't want to know. That was the one area where you could do whatever you want. And that was the house, actually. I was a total insomniac. I slept in Sarah's bedroom until I got pregnant, actually. But I used to sleep in Sarah's bedroom with Sarah because I was afraid of the dark. And then when I had really bad insomnia, I would stay up in my room all hours of the night painting and doing pottery in the middle of my bedroom. And my dad used to wake up and get freaked out because he was like, you have to go to sleep. And I couldn't sleep. And that's what I used to do in the middle of the night. And I used to go crawl into Sarah's bed to go to sleep because I couldn't handle the lights off being alone.
Yeah, and she used to smack me in my sleep and tell me to shut up because I would snore, or I'm taking too much room in my own freaking bed.
Sarah felt very abused.
I was.
Do you remember the guinea pig that Lucy gave you? And like you got near the cage and it would start screaming.
No.
That thing was weird.
This guinea pig was scared of the dark.
That's right, you shut off the light and it would cry.
It was the version, if you were a guinea pig, it was you.
Oh my God.
And so I used to have to sleep with the lights on, otherwise it would squeal, like, with the lights off. I finally had to give it away. I was like, I'm so done with this fucking thing. I didn't sleep for like a month straight because of this stupid guinea pig.
It was the weirdest thing. You couldn't pet it. It was terrified of everything. It was like it was like the guinea pig with PTSD.
Yeah, its hair was falling out because it was always so stressed.
But Lucy, how did Lucy end up with it? Lucy had it, and she needed to rehome it for some reason. And
because it's freaking neurotic.
And so she gave it to Sarah, and Sarah's like, I'll take it. But back then, Sarah had she was notorious for having pet rats that ran all over the place. So
rodents are awesome. I used to leave the cage open. My room was a free-for-all, and they were super clean. They did their business in the cage. They never pooped anywhere, and they were just like, they just hung out in my room.
I totally remember those. You had rodents, and then that was why she gave you the guinea pig. It made sense, but that thing was like so stressed out.
That thing was horrible.
That was like the worst pet I've ever seen.
I think her stepmother Lisa finally found a home for it because I think she could see it wearing on me. I was about to throw the thing out the window.
It was wearing on itself. What are you talking about? That thing was like so stressed.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I totally remember that.
Oh, it's raining.